Hi everybody. How y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing tonight, y'all? I'm glad y'all here with me tonight. Oh, let's see here. Let's see who's all in the building tonight. Hey, when y'all come in, make sure y'all like the video. I hope y'all can hear me okay. Let me see if y'all can hear me okay tonight. Can y'all hear me? Because I definitely can hear y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let me go ahead and make sure I'm not lagging because that's what we're doing tonight. We're just gonna be up in here enjoying this live. How y'all doing tonight? Tell your girl how y'all doing tonight. This live. How y'all doing tonight? Ooh, wait, I, um, I apologize, y'all. Okay, let me look and see how we looking or not. I think we looking okay. I think we looking okay on what it is tonight. I think we gonna just be okay tonight. That's all. All right, y'all. Since I'm here in the building tonight, y'all, we are going. Hello, everybody coming into the chat. How y'all doing tonight? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we are going to look at some TikToks tonight. I'm going to start it off with one before we start, just so we can get a grasp of what's going on tonight. And I can check my microphone, make sure I'm okay. All right, let's do that tonight because last night we had a little back, a little back and coming back to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this first one. But what we looking at tonight, we're looking at employees telling us story times from the airport. So let's hear.
Fun, and I knew it was kind of like a test because that's what it felt like.
You know what?
All right, I'm gonna need.
You know what?
Hey, flying partners. Sometimes it'd be your own people, man. Let me tell you. I had this cute and easy 2 day trip over Christmas, and when I tell you there was crew drama, there was crew drama. But guess what? Especially
Wait, y'all, I ain't even sharing it with y'all. Hold on a minute. I know y'all can hear it, but I ain't sharing it. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Because y'all don't even know what's going on. Y'all don't even know what's going on. Hold on, there we go. Y'all don't even know what's going on. And I need y'all to know what's going on. You know what? I'm going to make myself a little bigger. I'm going to go ahead and add her. Come on back, baby girl. Where you at? Come on. I'm going to add her back to the stage. I'm going to make me a little bigger. Oh, no, wait. You know what? There we go. There we go. There we go. Now we back in business. I'm going to go ahead and rewind her. And she's telling a story about, I guess she's a flight attendant. And we're going to hear a bit about people from all aspects of the airport. And she is actually from looks like travel agent, a flight attendant. So let's go ahead and hear what she has to say.
hey, flying partners. Sometimes it'd be your own people, man. Let me tell you. I had this cute and easy 2 day trip over Christmas, and when I tell you there was crew drama, there was crew drama. But guess what? Especially when you're new, I'm going to tell you exactly how to handle it and why it's important. So, story time. So, like I said, I had this cute little 2 day trip, supposed to be easy breezy. I'm working in the aft galley, and we have a flight attendant that I'm going to call her Miss Mouth. And then we have a flight attendant.
Okay, the aft galley is the back galley. Okay, that's what they call aft galley. Just want to let y'all know for people that don't know. Let's continue.
that's been flying for 30 years. I'm going to call him Senior Papa. Well, Miss Mouth has been flying for 5 years. You guys know I've been flying for about 3 years. When we first get to the gate, Miss Mouth promptly sits down and she starts complaining that the Starbucks baristas did not give her a holiday cup and how she just can't drink her coffee. She doesn't feel festive. She has to walk all the way back over there to get a holiday cup. So, of course, the side eyeing was real. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be the longest 2-day trip in history. So several things happened, and I just want to set the stage first. There's a couple of things Miss Mouth kept doing. She just kept saying, I'm from New York. I'm from New York. Okay, well, I grew up in Oakland, California and live in Atlanta, so I'm probably more of a threat than you are at this point. Then she kept saying the wrong door. You know, I'm sitting at door 2, Senior Papa sitting across from me at the other door 2. She's at door 1. Okay. She couldn't remember what door she was at. Every time the phone and her phone would ring, she'd say, door 1. Here's the problem with that. If the captain thinks he's calling door 1 and you say door 2, he thinks he's calling the back of the aircraft. If he's trying to relay some critical information, he thinks he's talking to the wrong person. So he'll hang up, waste those precious seconds, and redial only to get the same person. So it's very important that at the least you know what seat you're sitting in. Okay, so there was that. And then every time, we would do an update, she kept saying AM versus PM. It's 9 o'clock PM. Well, it was 9 o'clock AM. So I'm thinking, what is going on with Miss Mouth? So all that was going on. So here's what happened. We were boarding the plane, or the crew got on the plane, and the plane was not lit. There was no power. There were no, cabin power to the lights. You cannot board the plane with no cabin power to the lights. It is clearly highlighted in bright yellow in our SOP, standard operating procedures. So we get on the plane, me, her, and Senior Papa. Senior Papa's back there, texting the chat saying we need power, which is supposed to be the purser's job. I'm finishing a quick phone call with my daughter because it's Christmas. She called to wish me Merry Christmas. And then I hear all this commotion going on. And so I get off the phone. I'm like, what is going on? So Miss Mouth is standing up there. We need to open the windows. You guys aren't listening to me. Open the windows. I don't know what the problem is. I'm holding the people at the boarding door. So I'm like, what in the fresh hell is going on with this woman? So I was trying to explain to her that you cannot board a plane with no power to the cabin lights, but she just kept yelling. So I just went back to the galley in my safe space because it was way too early to deal with her, the boarding, and her Starbucks cups. So 2 hours later, after Senior Papa and I finished doing service, I'm about to sit down and eat my yogurt with my organic blueberries. I'm in heaven. And then here comes Miss Mouth flying to the back like somebody shot her out of a cannon. And she starts up again. Now, this had already 2 hours had gone by. Everybody else had moved on. She comes to the back and she's going, I need to understand why no one wanted to open the windows when I'm trying to tell you guys what to do and blah, blah, blah. And so Senior Papa, who's been flying 30 years, clearly was not going to have it. So it starts to get a little heated between them. So I told Senior Papa, they kept interrupting each other. So I told Senior Papa, I said, let her finish, because I like to let people make their whole stupid point. I said, let her finish, and then if you don't mind, I'll handle it. So he goes, go ahead, you got it. So, of course, I let her finish. I wanted to hear everything she had to say before I gathered her up like a handful of dust and blew her back to door 1, where she apparently didn't know she was sitting. So once she finished her whole spiel, I let her know that you cannot board without cabin lighting. And she, continued to, so I pulled up the screenshot and I showed it to her. Dead silence. So now what are you going to say? So I let her know, as purser, I would have expected her to know the very basics of boarding, that you have to have lights to board an aircraft. I let her know she kept saying the wrong door and why that was an issue, as I just explained to her. I also educated her on the fact that when it is light outside, it is AM. And when it is dark, it is PM. The look on her face, it was just priceless. I also let her know that yelling is never, ever, ever an acceptable form of communication. And if that's how reactive she was to opening window shades, I would really hate to be in an emergency situation with her. So, I explained to her, if you're going to take on the role of the purser, I expect you to know your responsibilities. You can't lead from behind. And I also let her know that you don't have to know everything. But here's the thing, being loud and wrong is never a good look. So, couple of takeaways from this, you guys. As you're starting to fly, know your responsibilities, know what your position involves, know what you can and can't do, just the basics. Nobody expects you to know everything. Keep important screenshots. We've talked about this before. Anything that is pertinent to your position, like it's highlighted in your device that they're going to give you when you go through training, go ahead and highlight that so that you'll know, you'll have easy access to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Stand up for yourself, especially newbies. Now, don't be loud and wrong like Miss Mouth, but do stand up for yourself. If you know you are right, stand up for yourself. If you have documentation to back up what you're saying, stand up for yourself, because I bet you didn't know this. We have FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, ghost riders that come on our plane. And they want to see what you're doing and what you're not doing, and if you're following FAA guidelines. Here's another thing you don't know. If you are caught not following FAA guidelines, you can be personally fined. You, not the airline, you and Bank of America can be personally fined up to $10,000 for each occurrence. So make sure you're doing the right thing. If somebody is telling you to do something that you know is wrong and you have documentation to back that up, don't do it. Just don't do it. All right.
All right, I'm gonna stop her right there just for a minute because if y'all new here, you know your girl got a little story time for that. Now, she is absolutely correct with the them having, which they call, some airlines call them the secret flyers that they send on. And I was actually watching a YouTuber who used to be a secret flyer. Okay. And well, she did a story time. And I guess that because I wanted to download it a few months ago, but I guess somebody talked her into taking it down because it's no longer up there. But that's her job, used to be the secret flyer. Okay. So, anywho, what happened was she got on a flight and she had first class. They booked her on first class so she can observe the flight attendants in first class. So she got in first class. She went ahead, she sat down, she put her luggage up, she sat down, and she took out her iPad because she was going to jot down her notes on her iPad. And so there was a flight attendant when she came in. The flight attendant was speaking to everyone as they came in the door, like they should. And this other flight attendant came from the back, which she was like in the middle of the aisles. She came up to the front and she asked her, she said, "Ma'am, is this supposed to be your seat? Let me see your ticket." So the lady showed her ticket, and she said, "I think there must be a mistake. Give me a minute." And she walked away. Well, as she walked away, the young lady said she just sat there, not even, bat an eye, because she knew that was her seat. She knew what the airline had actually booked her, right? So she was sitting there, and so then the they were still boarding at the time, and as the plane finished boarding, the flight attendant came back up to her, and the flight attendant in first class was taking the drink orders and everything. And when he got to her, they take the drink orders before they actually take off, so they can give it to you right after takeoff. So he came and he was, taking drink orders or whatever, and the flight attendant stopped him and said, "I don't think she belongs here." And he said, "Excuse me?" She said, "I don't think she belongs here. Ma'am, I think I have a seat for you in the back." And she said, "No, on my ticket, I belong here." The lady never gave her back her ticket. And she said, "Can you give me back my ticket you took from me?" She said, "I'll give it back to you, but you belong in the back." So she said, "So get your stuff and let's go." So the guy was like, "Do you have her ticket?" The other flight attendant. And because he was kind of trying to help, but she didn't want to get irate or anything like that because she knew she was actually working. So the lady gave her back her ticket once she got to the back. So she sat her in the back, um, 3 rows up from the very back, and she sat her there, and she put it in the aisle seat. So she moved, she gathered her stuff, and she sat there, no hesitation or whatever. So the flight attendant passed back, like with a little smirk on her face, like, like you not sitting in first class. So she sat there and she didn't say anything. Then, as the flight attendant was, as they were getting ready to take off, the flight attendant passed back and she stated, "Is there an issue?" And she looked at her and she said, "No, ma'am, there's not an issue." And there was another flight attendant standing behind that flight attendant. And so the other flight attendant was like, "Is everything okay?" And she said, "Yes, everything is fine." And she said, "I just don't understand why I was moved." And she showed the lady the ticket, why I was moved from first class to back here. And she stated, "I'm not sure, but I'll check." So she walks off with other flight attendant to find out what was going on and why did she have to move her. So fast forward, they started passing around the trays or whatever, and the one in the middle, I'm sorry, the lady that she had moved to the back, the flight attendant passed her again, and she asked for a glass of water. And she stated to her, she said, "Are you being rude? Because I could put you on a no-fly list." And she said she had to make sure she was not being rude or anything. The lady sitting next to her was like, "What is her problem with you?" And she said, "I'm not sure. I don't know what I did her, and I'm not sure why she has an issue with me." So as the other flight attendant heard that she wanted water, so she brought her water as they were going up and down the aisle. So the other flight attendant wouldn't have to interact with her. So as they were peaking to the height where you can use your devices, the young lady went ahead and she texted. She was using her Wi-Fi that she paid for, and she texted the office to let them know what had actually happened to her and that she was moved by this flight attendant. And she got the flight attendant's name um, from the flight attendant that brought her water. She had asked her, she said, "What is her name?" And she told her, and she typed in her name. And she also told them exactly what had happened. So as she sat down patiently after she wrote the text, she looked down and she received the text back and stated that the issue will be resolved. And so she stated, "Okay." So as she was sitting there, she noticed that the flight attendant that came to her aid with the water, she came back by and she was like, "Is there anything I can do?" About 10 to 15 minutes later, she came straight to her. She was like, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can give you? Would you like, a glass of champagne?" Trying to like cater to her at that time. So she didn't know what had happened, but fortunately, the um their airline had contacted the aircraft and let them know that whatever was done was not done properly. So, long story short, the flight attendant lost her job after everybody had turned in their statements and things like that, and it was reviewed what was actually done. So yes, flight attendants do have to be very careful when they fly, and they do need to know their job and not just pick on people because they can pick on people. So yeah, that was long story short, but I made that story kind of long, didn't I? I apologize. Let's move on. I got more to talk about tonight. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, oh, let me pause that one. I got to put y'all back on. But yeah, sorry that one took so long. But yeah, that's the gist of the story. You need to know who you are, and flight attendants have to know what they're working with, who they're working with. But let's go ahead and listen to the next one. Da, da, da. All right, Lego.
I got fired from American Airlines. And first of all, before y'all come for me, obviously I didn't know what I was doing was wrong at the time, or, I didn't think about it as wrong. Now I understand why they let me go, but before I was kind of like, are you kidding me? But okay, let's get into how it happened. So I started at the airport like 3 or 4 years ago. I had my first job with McGee under Alaska Airlines as a interline driver, so I was throwing bags. So after a few months, I got hired for Envoy, which is under American. It was like one of the happiest moments of my life. I was so excited, like, yeah, I got a company. I'm going to be getting flights, like blah, blah, blah. So in training, it's like an intense training, by the way, like a month training, like in the class, hands on, like it's a long training class. They tell you, like, you can record. They don't mind. They're like, you can record in your American uniform. Just don't do anything like drinking, smoking, cussing, talking negative about the airlines. Like, we don't care if you record videos. We don't care if you record the flights. Just don't do anything basically that would make the company look bad. So here I go. I'm excited. Love my job. I'm over here doing like come with me to work videos, raiding the galleys, showing how we cabin clean. Because I was a fleet service clerk, so I did the ramp and cabin cleaning. And we used to have to do security searches. In my eyes, like the security searches, it's not like I'm showing you anything that's not obvious. Like we just look in obvious areas, like behind the seats, in the overhead bins where you put your bags. Like it's not like in my eyes, I'm not showing anything that's not obvious. Like we just do a general search. Like if you were told, hey, search something, you're gonna go and search it to the best of your ability. That's all we do. It's not like there's any special requirements to do a security search. So TikTok is fairly like a new app, So I was excited to make a TikTok video. Come with me to work. Like I said, I loved my job. So I was like, ooh, we're doing a 777 that got it was a RON, which is staying at the airport overnight basically. So when you have RONs, the flights that stay overnight, you have to do a security search because maintenance could have put something on it. Anyone could put something on the flight. So before the flight goes out in the morning, we have to do a security search that night. So me and a group of like 5, 6 people go because it's a 777, so it's one of the bigger planes. And we start the security search, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a TikTok video because my other TikTok videos were getting a lot of views and likes, and I enjoyed it. So I was like, let me make a TikTok video. So I make the come with me to work, do a security search. I don't really perform the security search on camera. I do talk about it, but I don't really perform it. So like I'm posting my videos, just living my life, working at the airport. And then like a month later, I get COVID for the first time. I didn't have it the first 2 years. I got it bad as hell. So I was at home for 2 weeks. And then when I come back, I'm working on a flight and they call me like halfway through the flight. Like I used to work 10 to 7 in the morning, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So they call me to the office and then they pull up my TikTok, just the security search one. They didn't care about any other one. I had ones raiding the galleys. We take sodas and leftover food. Like my co-workers would be drinking alcohol out of the flights. Like, let's be real. I wasn't doing none of that, but people would be doing the most. And they pulled up my security search video. Out of all the videos I had, they didn't care about nothing but the security search one. So my manager pulls it up and he's like, is this you? And I'm like, obviously, I'm all embarrassed, red in the face. Like, why? And my other videos had like lots of views, like 2,000 likes. Like they went, I wouldn't say viral, but they got a lot of views. So he said, this was emailed to me. Now, I'm still not sure if it was a coworker of mine or someone just emailed it to American Airlines, but I feel like it was a coworker. And he goes, this is against our security standards. Even though you didn't perform the security search, you still said the word security search, implying that you were going to do one. So we have to put you on a 2-week paid suspension while we do an investigation and decide if we're going to bring you back or not, blah, blah, blah. So I'm enjoying my little 2 weeks off. I'm like, they can't fire me. I didn't do the security search, whatever. So then they call me and they're like, hey, we need you to come into work as soon as possible. We're going to give you your parking pass and your badge and we're going to have a meeting. So I'm like, oh, I got my job back. Like, I'm getting my badge, my parking pass. Like, I knew I wasn't going to get fired. And so they give me all my stuff. I park, I go to work, I go to have the meeting. And he goes, so unfortunately, after the video, like, even though you didn't perform a security search, you still said the word security search, implying you were going to do one. And it's a breach of contract, which it was nowhere in the contract because I looked it over and I tried to fight for it in the union, with the union, because I knew it wasn't in the contract. I looked all through the social media guidelines and that was not in there. But I was in probation, so they had the right to fire me because I was still in training technically until I passed my 6 months, and I was only there like 3 months. So the union wasn't really trying to fight for me. So he had gave me my badge and my parking pass just to let me come in the airport to fire me, and he's like, I'm gonna drive you to the parking lot now and I'm going to collect your parking pass and your badge from there. And I'm like, why did you call me all the way in, give me my badge and my parking pass just to fire me? Like, why not just fire me? And he was like, because we needed you to fill out certain paperwork and sign certain things. And mind you, they were rushing me in. Like, I had told them they wanted me to come in like 3 p.m. that day. And I was like, I can't make it till like 1 in the morning. I lied. I was like, I'm busy. I'm not in the city. Like, I have to make my way back home and I'll come as soon as I make it. And so they made me come and they were rushing me basically because they didn't want to have to pay me an extra day. They had dated the check for that day. So if I didn't come that day and sign it, they would have to reissue another check and pay me another day. And they weren't trying to do that. So, and technically I came at 1 in the morning. So technically they still had to reissue me another check, which they didn't, which I was going to try to fight for that too. But at the time I was just over it and I felt dumb. And yeah, that's how.
So she got fired on her day off. It's this Friday, but no, seriously. But the thing is, when you work at places that have security, anything dealing with the word security in it, you don't want to like touch social media with that. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that what she did because she didn't know, but when you hear something that says security, even if you don't do it, um, because what it does is it helps people that are bad people get time zones of when y'all do certain things. So yeah, you want to kind of keep that under wraps. And I don't follow her because it looks like she's young and she loves her job and she just wanted to show the love on social media. As social media influencers, especially when you're starting out and you see your channels booming for a certain thing, you want to tend to go gravitate to that certain thing that's helping your channel, um, TikTok, YouTube, whatever helps it boom. You want to stick to that to make sure that you move up with your um, content. However, you want to keep away from those words called security checks. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. All right, let's go ahead to the next one.
It's Sunday. I'm having lunch at True West Coffee in Hamilton, Ohio. And there's a specific topic I've been wanting to talk about on my page that I think I'm ready to talk about. It's been a year since I left flying. I'm ready to tell my story.
Go ahead, girl.
So all the time people are asking me why I don't fly anymore. And I just said it wasn't for me. And truly, I don't think it was for me in hindsight now that I'm kind of healed from that situation. But in reality, I was fired. And let's talk about why I was fired as a flight attendant, because you know what? I think some of the information, if I knew ahead of time and done more research, maybe talked to a couple more people before I hopped into it, I would have had a more positive experience. Before I get into that, I'm having the Loch Ness Monster sandwich at True West Coffee. It's so good. It's got pesto in it, turkey, a lot of greenery, and this I want to say it's like a ciabatta bread, but it's super soft and delicious. let's get into it. April 3rd, 2024 was my last day flying. I was with a major airline. I'll insert a little picture right up here so you guys can see.
That was
But let's talk about it. I went to training, and training was so rigorous. I did that probably in July of 2024. Um, Training was extremely rigorous. I was in Dallas for about 4 weeks. When I tell you that was the most up and down I've ever felt about anything in my life, because if you don't pass training, if you fail anything in training, you do not get the role. So you do go home. It doesn't matter how far you've gotten to the process. So, like I was saying, so you would watch people come into the class with you, and then the next day they're gone for various reasons. So, I was just always on high alert. And I remember something so pivotal for me because I did not understand, like, before you go into training for the airline that I worked for, there were certain announcements that you had to memorize. So, we had to know our airport codes, and we had to know our announcements by like spit off the top of the dome. And I may have misread that instruction beforehand because, again, I really didn't know too many people that were flight attendants. And the people that I did, I'm going to be transparent. I never reached out to them to get all the information I needed, right? But anyway, so once I was tested the first time, it was like, do you know these, announcements? And I really didn't. So fortunately, the day, like it was the first day of training. Fortunately, I didn't go for my announcements. I just had to memorize a couple airport codes. So that evening, when we got back to the hotel, I had kind of made friends with someone that was also in training as well. She was drilling me. I did not go to sleep that night, okay, because I had to memorize those announcements. And the next day, flew right through them. I was hysterically in tears, okay, because I thought I was going home and I put a lot on the line financially, emotionally, to do this role. Ugh. Fast forward, I make it through training. I am so ecstatic. It was still an up and down experience, but I was very ecstatic because I knew how to study. I knew how to get that information in. And it's time for my CJO. It's time to do my CTE, which is basically the on the job training experience, which that was crazy in itself because I vomited on my first CTE experience. So we had to do like a full day. You would work with a crew who was already had routes, and you would step in and take over their positions for them, so that they could see if you knew how to work every position. This was my first time doing this, and I was not used to like all the movement, and I vomited. Okay, my crew was so nice to me though, and after that, it's never happened again. But I don't think I've ever been that nervous for anything in my life, or just had that many nerves about anything in my life ever. So that was so pivotal and transformative for me. So I will say, working as a flight attendant, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot of confidence. I gained a whole lot of just self empowerment and feeling able to do anything. So once you pass training, your CJO, CTE, all those good things, you get assigned a base. You don't get to choose, you get assigned a base. I was assigned to Denver. I lived in Cincinnati, nor did I have the funds to move to Denver. A whole nother beast in itself. Ideally, when you get these roles, they want you to either move to that base or you'll have a crash pad in the base that you work for. Again, financially, I just was not in a space to be able to move to a whole nother place or maintain my apartment back in Cincinnati and my bills in Cincinnati, along with the crash pad in another city, which was pretty costly in itself. So I was based in Denver. I would get up for my trips and go the day before, sleep into the lounge, and then I would work my trip, sleep in the lounge again, probably come home the following day. I got a strawberry peach smoothie. This is crazy delicious. Mm, perfect. So I'm commuting for probably cumulatively 3 months into my flight attendant career. I'm commuting to Denver. And To be honest, the lounge in Denver for my airline wasn't horrible. Like we did have like seats that were reclined all the way back, so it was pretty easy to get some rest in. I just had to always leave the night prior to my trip. And most of the time when my trip was over, there were no flights going out. So I would leave the next day as well. So a 3-day trip ended up being a good chunk of 5 days of my life. Not ready for that. Didn't know about all these things, but fine. It came to a time where I was able to change my bases. So I moved to a base that was closer to me, and that was Baltimore. So I was commuting from Cincinnati to Baltimore, a much shorter flight, which I thought would cut down on my commute time. However, what I didn't take into account was the lounge in Baltimore was much, much, much smaller and much more I will say, difficult to relax in. It was very busy and not too much space for people to be comfortable in. It was very limited. So it's first come, first serve. And if you didn't get there in time, you did not have a chair. Anyway, coming in late for a flight, say I got in at like 11 p.m. My flight was at 5 a.m. to work, and I'm trying to get a couple hours of sleep, but there's no, reclining chairs left. I was SOL. Okay. At one point in time, I tried to like make a pallet on the floor, and then I seen a RAT, and that just ruined that for me. But anyway, so once I got my coin up just a little bit, I would pay for hotel rooms when I was like on reserve or didn't have a flight or I had to be in Baltimore. But that was costly. It was like $100 a night. And sometimes I was able to share with other flight attendants. Sometimes it was just me. So sometimes I made that money back. Sometimes it was just out there. Let's talk working for a union. That was new to me. Now, based on my experience in the union in the aviation is like HR squared. I'm not taking back what I said about that either. I got sick. It was hard for me to stay well. Flying new. My immune system is already just not amazing. But as it is, I got sick pretty often. On this particular occasion, I was so sick that I didn't call in a timely manner, right? Now, once I did call in and call out, they're like, oh, okay, you have to see our union doctor as well as you having a doctor's note. They want those to align. They want what your doctor says and what the union doctor to say to be the same thing to, of course, excuse your absence if you call out very late, which was my case. So I did have both doctor's notes. The union doctor conferred with me and everything. And I went through an appeal process because I still got fired. And I went through that appeal process for weeks and weeks and weeks until I just ended up giving up because HR wasn't on my side and I just was not prepared. It's Sunday. I'm having lunch at True West Coffee in Hamilton, Ohio. And there's a specific topic I've been wanting to talk about on my page that I think I'm ready to talk about. It's been a year since I left flying.
All right, y'all. I almost let her play again. Yeah. Flight attendants. Some people say they get a bad rap, but I don't know. Let's go
Working at
next.
the airport was one of my favorite jobs ever. Like, it was so fun. I got to learn a lot about different things, learned a little bit about aviation, learned a lot about customer service. So the airport I worked at, it was very small. So people thought that you could get there 10 minutes before your flight and still make it. No, ma'am. Let me tell you how this girl tried to come for me, but you still missed your flight. You're not going to Atlanta today. So I tried to tell them, hey, like the door closed, yada, yada, because I was one of the people at the ticket counter and also, weighing the luggage, all that kind of stuff. Very fun. She was so mad that she couldn't make her flight. She started coming for my ponytail. Now, it had been a long day and my ponytail was a little askew, but guess who's not going to Atlanta today? Not. And then the mother had the nerve to be like, they always say, oh, the so-and-so's are here. Come on, you're late. So this is something that you do all the time. And then your daughter, I mean, it looked like they were family. So your daughter's going to come for me and my ponytail because you're late. This happened some years ago, but I just had to get it off my chest. Moral of the story is Whether somebody's ponytail is askew or not, you still need to get to the airport in enough time.
Right.
Legend has it that she's still trying to get to Atlanta.
Wait, wait, girlfriend. I know people are always mad when they miss their flights, right? I know they be angry. They want to go off. But girl, you know your ponytail. You know that ponytail wasn't right. Girl, I digress. Let's move on. Woo.
So once upon a time, I was a flight attendant, and I have all these crazy stories that I've never told publicly. And I feel like now's the time. Let me preface with I'm not going to publicly share who I work for, but just so you know, it's a regional company. And if you know me, you already know anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So one time I had an overnight in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm from Indiana, so like I wasn't really that excited, but my crew all wanted to go out, and I was like, okay, let's get me up on overnight. If you've ever stayed in Louisville, you've probably stayed at the Galt House, and if you have, I'm really sorry that it sucks. Like it's the worst hotel, like 0 out of 5 stars. I show up to this hotel room and I have no blankets on the bed, like no sheets, literally just a mattress. There's hair in my shower, and I'm just like, so this is how it's gonna be. Obviously, I call the front office and ask for sheets, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not even gonna take a shower. It's not even a big deal. Whatever. So I go along with my night, and we pregame in one of the pilot's rooms. Like it's fun. Everyone's a lot older than me, but everyone was really fun and chill. So I was like, it's gonna work. So we go out to a bar called Howl at the Moon, which is like right next to PBR on 4th Street. If you've ever been, I don't even know if it's still there, but it was when I worked. If it tells you my financial situation before I went out, I ate a tuna packet for dinner. My company did not pay worth a shit for the flight attendants. So like low key, I'm hoping to get a couple free drinks like while I'm here. Like I'll pay for one, but I'm not gonna sit here and spend a bunch of money to like be out because I simply cannot afford to eat and I need lunch the next day, okay? So I'm young and I'm single and I am going finesse. I'm going to finesse my way into a couple free drinks. Hopefully, right? Like there's a lot of guys there. Like I'm gonna get a free drink. Well, every time I start talking to somebody, the captain, who's like this middle-aged, 300-pound man, I mean, he's a large man. He is coming up behind me, like hovering me, like watching, and like trying to insert himself awkwardly in a conversation. And it was super weird, very creepy, which like cause and effect. If you're creepy, someone's gonna walk away. Like, you know, so I wasn't getting anywhere with the drink situation. So after about an hour, I'm just like, I gotta talk to this man. I've gotta talk to him. So I'm like, hey, so if you could like not do what you're doing, like I understand like you're just trying to protect me, but I'm an adult and I really am just trying to have a good time, you know? He's like, oh my God, yeah, I totally get it, whatever. He's like, I'll be over here if you need me. And I was like, oh, thank God, I'll come visit. I'll come over here and I'll come visit. So he's like staring at me the entire time. And it's just weird. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to take this drink and I'm just going to go sit down. I'm just going to sit down. I'm in babysitting one drink. Okay. So I go over, like, and hang out with the crew. And when I tell you things went downhill really quickly, like so quickly, like in a matter of 5 seconds, things went downhill. Out of nowhere, the captain looks at me and he puts his hand on the back of my head and on the front of my mouth like this. And he pulls me hard and kisses the back of his hand. What? So once upon a time, I was.
Wow. That's all I can say about that one. It's wow. Okay, let's move on.
Hold on. You want to come talk to me, ma'am? You want to come talk to me? Yeah, you gotta abide by the rules of the airport. So why are you doing that? You don't understand what? I walked in there and he split me. You have your BNA badge? Why would you do that? Because I can. Freedom of speech. Okay. Do you have your BNA badge with you? Huh? You have your BNA badge with you? Yes. Where's it at? But you need to have it on your. I need to see it. Huh? Ma'am. Ma'am, I need to see your BNA badge. Right here, man. Well, then get it out. Get it out. Let me have it. Let me have it. You didn't get nothing from me, man. You just have to take me down. I ain't done nothing to nobody. Nobody. I'm trying to get to work and he's playing me. What? Regarding that employee, I just want to get down here. Yeah. What is wrong with you? Yeah. Yeah. You got everything. What you gonna do? Is all this stuff hers or what? I got so many keys. Why you get so many cars? I want to buy them. I bought them. What you gonna do? What you gonna do now? Now what? Well, you're about to lose your job if you keep. Why are you being like this? They gotta talk to everybody. I'm going to provide
She mad, man.
and calling the TSA. I'm right here. My partner is a detective. I will get him on your ass. I'll clear him up.
I was cooking at home. I ain't even been there.
You're acting this way.
Because y'all with me. This is the third time I'm y'all, so I'm not gonna time with y'all. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Have you finished your check of her and stuff? Check that. She dropped it. Gave it for me.
I'm scared for her. Bitch. Girl, you having a bad girl. Go home. Go home. Go home.
Okay, so I don't think y'all believe me when I say I really just be doing anything I want to do, I really just be doing it. One day I was at home and I was like, I wonder if I can be a flight attendant. Did the application, went in for the interview, smoked the interview, got hired. After that, I was flying charters, private. We did college football teams, basketball teams. It was just busting, okay? Being a flight attendant before COVID was one of the most busting things I could have ever done. Like, it was amazing. I had a blast. Yeah, I was just kicking it, baby. Like, you just had to be there. I promise you. How the hell did I end up on the Judge Mathis show? I don't know. But again, really just be doing anything. I don't know why y'all, like, don't let nobody tell y'all can't do something. Like, I enjoyed it. I loved it. But I did try to go commercial. But after flying private and flying charters and shit like that, trying to go to commercial airlines, it just didn't work for me. So yeah, that was that. I had a blast. Loved it when I did it. And you couldn't drag me on a goddamn plane at this point in my life. Okay? I barely like to get on a plane when I'm traveling. So yeah.
I like it.
Story time on how I was a flight attendant in my 20s. Because a lot of these flight attendants on here are glamorizing the job and not necessarily telling you the truth on how it is to be a flight attendant.
Tell
and
it,
granted, I was a flight attendant 10 plus years ago, so obviously the pay is going to be a little bit different, but I've done my research and talked to current flight attendants, and pretty much all the expectations are still the actual same. We're going to do this the expectation versus reality way because there's a lot to cover. And let me preface this by saying this is just my experience, and a lot of airlines could be different. Let's start off with training. It's paid and it's just so fun. The reality about this is every airline is completely different. Some pay for their training and some don't. And usually the training lasts about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the airlines that you're working for. When I was in training for American Airlines, ground training was supposed to be paid, but coincidentally, we didn't get paid the entire 4 weeks until our last graduation day. So that's 4 weeks without consecutive pay. And you unfortunately cannot have a part-time job because the expectation is you go to school from Monday to Friday, sometimes the weekend, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So unless you're retired or you live with mommy and daddy or you have a good savings account, it's a little bit of a struggle. And flight attendant training was actually not fun. We had a test every single day, so a lot of our free time was spent studying for the test the next day. And you were expected to get an 80% or higher on that test. If you got anything below an 80%, you were expected to retake it. On that retake test, you were expected to get a 90% or higher. If you failed that, guess what? You're kicked out. They don't care. A lot of my classmates were getting kicked out the first week of training. They literally quit their job to pursue this career in being a flight attendant, and they got kicked out. So now, obviously, what are they going back to? It's also very boot camp style. They have an expectation of how you're supposed to look. We were supposed to be very clean shaven. So every morning I had to wake up about an hour prior to getting ready to go to school to shave my beard and shave my mustache all the way down. I couldn't even have any stubble. You're also roommating with people that you've never met before. And if you are an antisocial person, this is probably not the best thing for you. My roommate was actually kicked out because he left base to go somewhere somewhere else out of state, which you're supposed to be staying the night in the hotel room every single night. You are not allowed to spend the night anywhere else. But he left the state to go visit his boyfriend, and he got kicked out the very next day when he came back. And guess what? He stole my freaking juice. Expectation. You get paid a lot of money. The reality is when you get out of training, you're actually not getting paid a whole lot of money, nor are you guaranteed an actual set schedule. When you graduate ground training and in-flight training, you are now considered a reserve flight attendant, which basically means that you're on call and you're only a replacement flight attendant for anybody else who calls out. This means that you might not immediately be flying. And some new flight attendants who are reserve or on-call flight attendants could be on reserve or on-call for 6 months to 2 years. I was a reserve flight attendant for 6 months, and every single month you bid for a line. However, you get the bottom of the barrel of the lines because it goes by seniority, which I forgot to say something. Your base is determined by the company, but it's also determined by the seniority in your class. So the older people get their first choices. The younger people get their last choices. And you could be based somewhere out of state where you don't even live. So I lived in Ohio. The base that I wanted was Dayton. However, I got Knoxville, Tennessee. Seniority plays a huge role in being a flight attendant. They get the best trips. They get the more money. They get the more consecutive days off. And then you kind of get the bottom of the barrel until you build up that seniority. I did it for 2 years and I still wasn't at a place where I felt comfortable with the pay that I was making. My flight pay was $19.50. Now, obviously, I would hope that this has gone up in the past 10 years, but you're not necessarily getting this. If you're not flying, you're getting a guarantee. My guarantee was $550 every 2 weeks if I had no flights. That's not enough to survive on even when I was in my 20s. Your flight pay is the higher wage, but that only starts when the door of the cabin closes, and then the moment it opens, it stops. You'll also get a per diem, which is the money that you make hourly when you're outside of your base. So this could be anywhere from $1.50 to $2.50. And I think mine was $1.50. I worked regional, so the legs of the trips are usually about an hour to an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to 3, depending on where I'm going. Legs just means from point A to point B. So if you have 4 1-hour legs in one day, you're only getting paid $19.50 in flight pay for 4 hours. On top of that, if you're not based in the area that you live in, you're expected to be in your base either the day before or the day of you being on call. But this can be super problematic because you have to get from point A to point B, and a lot of people are fairly new at trying to figure out how to commute to work. I was driving 4.5 hours every single week there to Knoxville and back to my home in Ohio just so I was able to be in the base that I was supposed to be in. And all of that was out of pocket. You do have the opportunity of getting a crash pad, which you could pay like $250 a month to rent this little itty bitty apartment that you're sharing with 10 plus other pilots or 10 plus other flight attendants. And you are in bunk bed situations. If you choose not to do a crash pad, then you probably do a hotel. However, if you live states away and you're thinking that you're going to be able to fly for free all the way to your base, think again, which leads us to the next situation. You get to fly for free. The reality is you're flying standby. That means that you're not guaranteed a seat on any flight. So traveling and commuting to your base can kind of be a little bit stressful. There could be times that you're sitting in an airport for 8 hours and you're missing every single flight because you're not guaranteed. You're flying standby. Only if the seat is available will they allow you to get on. So when you're flying to your base, you have to plan about 2 days in advance to try to figure out how you're going to get there. Unless you determine you want to move to your base area, it's not worth it. And you think you could just jump on any flight and just have this great vacation? Think again. Your first day should always be designated to travel because, like I said, you're not guaranteed a flight or a seat. So your first day is spent trying to get on a flight, and your last day is probably spent trying to get back home. There were times that other flight attendants that I knew would get stranded for a day or two because they could not get on a flight back home. And the airlines do not help you with this. It is your responsibility to be back in your base to start your trip. They do not give you a guaranteed ticket to get back home. So at the end of the day, your trip is completely just stressful. Also, being a reserve flight attendant, they had something called hot reserve where you were expected to sit in the airport for 8 hours in case somebody didn't show up for their trip. So you were expected to be completely ready in your uniform with bags packed and sit in the airport for 8 hours. And you're not getting flight pay during that time either. I used to pack my bag and iron my suit and hang it in my car and sleep in my car in the employee parking lot until I was released from hot reserve. I could have gotten in trouble for this too. But your overnights are so fun and you literally could do whatever you want. The reality is the airlines are not paying for anything other than your lodging at your overnights. So food is out of pocket. Any experiences that you want to do or adventure out into your overnights, out of pocket. And also being a reserve flight attendant, you get the bottom of the barrel trips, which means that your overnights are going to be somewhere like Scranton, Pennsylvania, where there's nothing to do. And try packing 4 meals for 4 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are days that I went to bed hungry because I didn't have money to eat and I had already ate all of my food that I had packed for the 4-day trip. or the flight was delayed and we didn't get into the hotel until 1 a.m. so everything around the area was completely closed, or you were in the middle of nowhere and nothing was around. So needless to say, these are all little details that a lot of flight attendants don't go in depth about. You'll see flight attendants on here trying to act like they live some glamorous lifestyle, but they're not telling you the entire story. They're not telling you how long it took them to get to that point. It could be years before you feel comfortable with the pay that you're making. It could be years before you feel comfortable with the lines that you're actually getting and the trips that you're actually going on. Now, hey, if you don't mind waiting for a couple years to actually get that seniority up, then so be it. But I did it for 2 years and I still was not comfortable with the pay that I was making. Before you apply to be a flight attendant, please do your research. Story.
No, this is the airport manager. He's gonna speak with you real quick. No, you listening, Vincent? You gotta listen. Give me 30 seconds. No, real quick. I've been listening. 30 seconds. What's gonna happen?
Y'all, I can't watch that because obviously there's a reason he's having a meltdown. But yeah, I'm not. We're gonna go on.
I need to talk about a recent interaction I had with a TSA agent. A couple of weeks ago, I flew from Nashville to Austin to surprise my best friend for her first half marathon. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I was wearing a crew neck that said Swift Kelsey 2024. Husband bought it for me 2 Christmases ago. I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I'm a big Swiftie and I love Travis Kelsey. So does my best friend. So I'm doing my thing, go through TSA pre-check. And if you've ever flown out of BNA, Nashville's airport, I think we can all agree that everyone that works there is pretty nice. Where I'm from, New Jersey, probably know where I'm going with this. If you've ever been to the Newark airport, everyone is just so impatient and just doesn't give off the same vibe. But as soon as I put my bag down and was about to go through the detector, I made eye contact with the guy who was helping put my bag on the belt. He did not look happy. I was like, I'm about to get a very different interaction than I usually do when I'm here. And he's still looking at me. I look at him, do a little grin, you know, one of those awkward smiles, about to go through the detector. And he goes, "Are you a Swiftie?" I immediately make eye contact again. "You've got my attention, sir." I said, "Yes, absolutely." And he says, "Well, I can't let you through there until you sing a song. That's a requirement." Do you ever just get so caught off guard that you forget your own name? I literally forgot who I was because I did not expect him to say that. So naturally, I forget literally every Taylor Swift song after 15 years of being a Swiftie. I'm just staring at him with a blank stare. And I'm like, "You really caught me off guard that I forget every single song." And he smiled and he goes, "Well, I know the song about the name." My dog's barking. "Oh, babe, stop it. Story time." And I'm like, that is so vague. Or is it? Again, I haven't had coffee. I am not with it. I'm not firing on all cylinders at this hour. So then I put it together. I say, "Do you mean blank space?" And he goes, "Yeah, I think that's it." I say in a normal tone, I'm not even singing it. I said, "Well, I got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name." He just like tried to smile, but it was so awkward. What am I trying to hit on this guy? Like, no, I'm married. Like, what is going on? I don't know why I said it that way. I just really wanted to disappear forever after that. What does he do? He replies with a smile, little laugh. And I'm like, "Have a nice day." And he goes, "You too." And I go on my way. I share this story because just be nice to people. I think we can all use a little kindness.
I agree.
Especially in this day and age. Shout out to all the Swifties.
I agree. Hey y'all, what's up? I'm back with another story. Time real quick. Just had to come bring y'all the TV and what's been going on in Hamilton. So the aviation industry is really crazy for real. I'm finding that out more and more, like as I work each flight every day, like, and I just be so appalled. Like, I had a lady on my flight. I want to say like this trip, so it was like the day before yesterday. She literally was just super duper asking for everything. I'm like, okay, obviously we're gonna serve you. We're gonna give you your wine, your water, whatever your snacks. She gets to asking for Gouda trays and just not even in first class. Like, so y'all know me. I'm trying to tell her in the most polite way, like, we don't have that in this class. I'm working in the back today, so we don't have that. We don't serve that. We have this. We have pretzels. We have chips. We got, chocolate. She wasn't having it. She is like, can you bring that flight attendant back here? I want her. What's she serving? Why are you up there? What are you doing in their business?
come back to economy, sis. Like, I don't get it. It's like, if I could give it to you, obviously I would. It's not my snacks. I'm not gonna, keep the snacks from you. But if you would have paid a bill.
Now, why she had the money shame, economy shame, that lady? Like, you know what? See, I have an issue with it because sometimes when me and hubby book our flights, right? Because I am so last minute, there's no first class. So I don't like when flight attendants kind of look like, okay, you come into economy, you don't look like you're supposed to be in economy, but okay. Oh yeah, you look like you're supposed to be in economy. Stop shaming class. Like, that's not cool. And a seat is a seat, and how they pay for their seat is their seat. So don't hate on their seat. Anyway, I digress. Let's listen to one more, y'all, and we're gonna call it a night.
Today has been a day, okay? Like,
Okay.
rough. So rough. I'm doing nothing else but just staying home. Like, clearly God trying to tell me or save me from something. First, it started off with the gas light turning on. I got to get gas, of course, so now I'm running late. How by the grace of God, I go to the gym, work out, get to the gas station, fill up, leave my house. Not too bad. I have a chance of making it. I get on the bus, the shuttle to get to the airport. The drivers are changing positions or they're changing shifts. That process only happens when I'm running late. Me and the rest of the people who are ready to get to work are not looking at each other like, what's taking so long for them to switch places? So I go to the guy and I was like, hey, should I go on the next bus that's coming or are we about to leave? And he was like, oh, no, we'll leave now. Puts the bus in drive and we pull off. Why did it take me? I go through the security line. I get to the gate that I thought I was at, and it's the wrong gate. It's the wrong gate. Originally, it was D17. Looked it up, reloaded my schedule. It's now D37. I have to go run down 20 gates to be on time. I get to the gate, I scan my badge, I get on the plane, and everything's cool. We meet the rest of the crew, head to the back because I'm flight attendant number 2. As I'm getting ready for the flight, I don't have my passport. And we're going to Mexico. Freaking out. And when you're freaking out, understand you have different friends for different stuff. I know that my best friend freaks out absolutely on everything, but I text her and tell her what happened. She works in the airline industry too. She's now really freaking out. She's like, you're gonna be arrested. They're gonna put you in jail. They may, I don't know. She didn't do all of that, but that's how her tone was coming off. Like, you about to get it. I'm trying to figure out what to do. Like, so I go to flight attendant 1, trying to get some advice, like, to figure out how to play this. As soon as I tell her, she immediately grabs the phone, calls the captain and says, hey, flight attendant number 2 forgot their passport. What you want to do? We pretty much were told that we're going to go back to the gate and get me replaced. Cool. At this point, I'm still trying to figure out what's going to happen to me. When we get back to the gate, there are 2 managers waiting for me. So I'm like, They tell me we're going to go ahead and get your replacement. Go ahead and gather your things. We're going to go ahead and walk you off the plane as soon as they arrive. As we're sitting there waiting, the flight attendant that called the captain immediately says to me, oh my gosh, you're so handsome. I hate we can't fly together. Hopefully we fly together soon. Aw. So finally the other one shows up. We switch places. I get off the plane. Me and the gate agent are now walking together. Me and the manager are now walking together. I'm saying my prayers in my head. I already told my sister, hey, say a prayer for your boy because I'm freaking out right now. And she says to me, hey, well, sorry this happened to you, but it happens. That's what life is. You may hear from your manager, you may not. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah. So now I am back at home. Enough has happened today, and it's not even noon yet for me to just stay at home. I don't want to do anything else. I'm supposed to go out tonight because it's just a turn. I was just going to go to Mexico and fly back and then go out tonight because it's Easter. Now, I'm just going to stay home. I'm going to
That's your
watch my
best
favorite
bet.
shows. I'm going to lock the door, close the blinds, get in my favorite robe, and chill. Like the old folks say, just sit down somewhere.
Just,
I'm going to put this. I'm just going to sit down somewhere.
just sit down somewhere.
And we're going to try today again tomorrow. Like, that's it. Today has been.
Ooh, just sit down somewhere. Go sit down. Go sit down somewhere. All right, let's go one more.
Let's talk about that time our captain didn't pay his eggs worker and how that blew up in our faces. Ha! Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. It's going to be a long ride. Get this. We were leaving Dominican Republic. We were downstairs for van.
I want to hear this, but she got a bad echo. She got a bad echo. But I really want to hear. Let's try a little bit more. If it's too bad, I'm going to cut it off, y'all, because she got a bad echo.
For van pickup. Aviation employees, we are not late. It's in our DNA. So when the captain was a minute late, we started looking around like, that's strange. We're about 3 minutes in and we're perspiring because we are late. This is unheard of. Right when the first officer was about to disembark,
Oh, she is.
Here he comes.
Girl, I can't.
Here's what it's really like to work for an airline. So I work for an airline as a customer service agent, and I've been there for about 3 years now. I do get to fly for free, so I can go anywhere in the world domestically completely for free. Now, if it's an international flight, I only have to pay for the taxes on the flight. Now, one con to the travel is that we do fly standby, which basically means we are only getting on the plane if there are extra seats available. I have definitely slept in the airport more than once because the flight was full. We can also fly standby on our partner airlines for very, very cheap, which definitely helps, gives us a lot more options when we're traveling. Right now, I work the night shift and weekend. For me, it's not ideal, but you know what? It is what it is. A lot of the shifts are like seniority based, so the longer you've been there, the better shift you get. I also get benefits for my friends and family. They're also able to travel wherever they want to for a very, very heavily discounted price. Lastly, one of the biggest cons is something called mandatory overtime. I'm getting PTSD even thinking about it. Man, there's a bad weather delay. We basically have to stay until all the customers are taken care of. So say I finish work at 10 o'clock, I have to stay until maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. So I know y'all be real mad sometimes cussing the agents out because you're stuck at the airport. But just remember, sometimes we're stuck there too. Despite some of the cons, I would never trade this job. If you guys want a part 2, make sure to let me know in the comments. I applied for several airline jobs and it took me a little while before I got one. So if you guys want any tips on,
Atlanta, I need your help.
Okay. All right, y'all. I'm going to listen to this last one. I said I wasn't, but I'm going to listen to this last one and I'm going to call it a night. I appreciate everybody for watching. We do got to take care of a couple of business after I listen to this one. We're going to go over as soon as this one is done. But let's go ahead and listen to Homegirl.
I am currently at Hartsfield Atlanta Airport. Whoever does the hiring here needs to stop because these are the sorriest pack of people, employees that I have ever seen. These people traveling for so many reasons, are going to funerals, to go see family members, business, stressful business, fun. These people be talking to people crazy. I am talking from the ticket gate agent who was coughing with a mask on, should have been at home. The TSA agents, those are the worst. In fact, there's a light skinned girl. She's short, light skinned, and she had like 3 sets of eyelashes on each eye. Therapy helps. Mayor Andre have any power over what they do here at Hartsfield Atlanta. Please help. These people are here fucking up people's whole vibes. I accidentally left my bath and body lotion in my bag, you guys, because I put them in my carry-on instead of the luggage that was checked. She act like I gave her a STD. The was my lotion. How you think I feel? Do you think I intentionally did that? You think I wanted to be without my lotion? I'm black. You know I wanted my lotion. If you know anybody who knows anybody who has any power, please tell them we need some help here. Tell them to stop hiring from the food court at Lennox Mall. And we might get better service. Please, please, please. Thank you. Bye.
Oh my God. Y'all. Now that's the way to end. Oh, y'all. Y'all. She gave me everything with life. You hear me? She gave me everything with life. Shout out to her. I need to go back and find out her channel because I'm going to go ahead and subscribe. Because shout out to her for putting Atlanta Airport on the map, you guys. Okay. She said that girl had 3 pieces of eyelashes on her. And she, girl, bye. You know what? Y'all heard her. Y'all lucky I don't play her again because she gave me life and then some. All right, y'all. Quickly before I leave tonight, please go to our Facebook group, Affordable Couples Travel, Key to Travel. And if you don't fool with Facebook, go head over to our TikTok. It's Key to Travel. And if you don't fool with, and I know you fool with TikTok, stop playing with me. But if you do want to go ahead to our Instagram, it's travel underscore buddies underscore vacations. Y'all check us out on those 3 platforms. If you're interested in our group travel that is going to Belize in September, please go ahead over to that group travel group. Inbox me your information. I'll give y'all the information. I think it's under $1,000 with airfare and everything included. So go ahead and holler at your girl. But I appreciate y'all with me tonight. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you're not. My last video went up. I was out in the city of New Orleans enjoying myself. And if y'all want to see about it, come check it out. And the video before that, we went to Jacksonville, Florida, and we was chilling on the beach. So if you want to check that one out, just a couple of travel vlogs that I have posted up in the last couple of weeks. Go check those out. And hopefully I can hear from you. Hopefully you can like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully you'll come back and see me tomorrow because I'll be here same place, same time. Peace.